This is my shed, it lives by a hedge in my tiny little yard. Swear you'll hear us harping on, so come join us for a chat in my shed.
Well, welcome back to Shed TV. Still in the shed.
Still in the shed.
Still in the
This is
shed.
fantastic to come back. Honestly, it's always refreshing and bright, and it feels a good place to be. Because it's with you.
Well, yeah. So those of you who might not have seen when I last had you on Shed TV, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Iain Price. I'm a neuroscientist by training, at least. I'm now a trainer, coach, facilitator. And I work with all sorts of people. I work with sort of businesses. I work with churches. I've worked in charities, and I'm really about unlocking people's brains to the thinking that makes them more fulfilled than the person they're meant to be.
Brilliant. So I'm Mike Taylor, pastor.
Yeah.
Host of Shed TV. So we've known each other for 18, 19 years.
When you said last time, I was, oh my goodness.
Oh no.
It's about 18, 19, 20 years.
I had hair, I think, when we met.
Oh, you did?
Probably.
Just about,
yeah. Surfed together, holiday together.
Holiday together, yeah.
But more recently...
Van together,
yes, yeah. More recently, you've come on board... not as a professional, but as a coach within my life.
Not a professional coach.
Well, professional. Yeah, professional. You know what I mean.
Coach, I know. Sorry,
come on board as having me coach over the last 18 months, been speaking into the church as a team, and that's been massive for us. So, yeah. It's
been an absolute, and continues to be a privilege and great, real pleasure.
Yeah. I thought we could talk a little bit today about... some of our journeys, self-management, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I know the reason the coaching works between me and you is, one, because we're friends. There's always that dynamic. But I know because of your story that... I'm fed up of having people speak into my life that have never been through anything. It's like, don't ever follow a leader that doesn't have a limp, you know? Don't ever follow a leader that hasn't been ran over.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like,
I think I do.
Do you mean like, and you know, that not only are we friends, but having known you and know your story, I know that you, when I'm in my dark place, you're talking it because you've been there.
Yeah. You know? And I think the other way too, if I may say so, Mike, is I've seen that with you, and I think we've had that, I suppose, relationship where we've been quite comfortable to share and support each other as brothers.
Yeah.
And I know that you know I've picked up the phone to you, and you've picked up the phone to me.
Yeah.
And there might have been months, sometimes a bit more than that, and you've been there, and we've been there for each other. And I think you're absolutely right. I like the idea of following somebody with a limp. Yeah. But I do know what you mean. And it's again, well, I think mentioned last time, one of my favourite quotes is that the C.S. Lewis quote about no person with an opinion can take away from somebody with experience. And I think we've had a few bashes. I'm hoping that we don't have too many more. But then at the same time, we there's that passage in Romans talking about celebrating through affliction, and it's really hard. Yeah. But it's more easier when you start to see the learning that's happened as a result of it. Yeah. So I think, and the other thing of that, in terms of how we work together, both as a sort of me being with your coach, but also as mates, and then sort of more as a consultancy kind of capacity, if you like, is that we have that understanding that, as you said, it's been real, and we've been real with each other, and we can call each other out. I think you could say, that's BS, Iain. And
tell me what's really going on.
Yeah, totally. And I have, and you have.
Yeah. I remember about 2.5 years ago, I went through a really difficult season and wasn't sleeping and waking up in the middle of the night and just like in this really bad place, and coming downstairs at 4 o'clock in the morning. Bethel Without Words. It's an album on Apple Music, but that didn't even work. Praying that didn't even work. Being in the middle of my kitchen, thinking in my boxer shorts, thinking, why? What is happening here? And I, for some reason, I went onto Instagram. And there was this quote from Tolkien: "If a God can't hurt a man deeply, he can't use him deeply." Oh, I was like,
if say that again.
If God can't hurt a man deeply, he can't use him deeply. And wrestling to understand what that meant, and not that God wants to hurt us.
No.
But for what I take from that, it's the pain of some of the things that we go through that make us the people that God wants us to be.
I think there's truth in that, and I would add as well, if I may. I think it's about this connection. If we're going to be useful for other people, I mean, Jesus was afflicted, and that's so he could understand, so people couldn't say, well, you're just privileged.
Yeah.
And I think there's something there as well.
Yeah.
And to understand the value of coming alongside somebody.
Yeah.
And certainly what I do is, my purpose is, I feel, and is to help other people find their purpose, right? Yeah. Because part of that is come through their experiences. And quite often, it's like God chooses the foolish, people. But I also think you're right in terms of those that have been through pain. And then as a result feel either useless or they failed or they're failing, and therefore they can be of no use to other people. And sort of early on in just as I was finishing my first degree and coming back to faith.
Degree.
I have cereal collection. It's a bit of an addiction. I got a diploma. I got knowledge. But again, one of the things I've learned, again, the wisdom of, I could have a certificate, but do you really want to? Who do you want operating on you? For instance, when you've been a nurse, right?
Yeah.
Do you want somebody who's got all the qualifications above yourself, or somebody like you who've been through, muck and bullets, knows that's experience, right? And I think that's the same with when we're going through sort of things that are painful. Ultimately, trying to hold on to that pain is part of learning. And I've been challenged recently. I think I might have challenged you on this in the past. Actually, true growth requires you to go through some aspects of suffering. Yeah. And I'm not somebody challenged me the other day and said, I'm not sure that's entirely fair. You don't have to suffer. But I do think there has to be a challenge, something that you have to go through to get over. And if you think about the stuff that we most, you and I, and certainly with people I work with, that are most proud of, but value most in their life, it's usually that they've gone through something and have come through something.
Yeah. Because I think one of the problems with social media and stuff like that is we get snapshots of just the good parts.
Oh my goodness!
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
We see, talk about church. We were watching a church last night on the telly that me and Helen really like, and they've got an amazing worship team, and it looks really good, and it's all polished. But not that there might not be, but we don't see the dynamics that are going on beyond that or whatever, and people don't tell you about that.
And that put me off. So that's really put me off churches.
Yeah.
If it seems too glitzy, too polished. And I think, going back again, that one particular time, I again, really indebted to a lady called Jan, and if she's watching for some strange reason, thank you so much, in Kent, in Ramsgate. So one of the things that they couldn't afford, one house couldn't afford to have a washing machine, the other one couldn't afford to have next door, or 2 doors down within the church, an oven. There is a connection here, right?
Okay.
And the whole point was that they would share.
Okay.
And that for me was again about, this is about being real.
Yeah.
This isn't about just I have to have the perfect household or the perfect relationships or the perfect children. And there was something about working through that brought me back to faith. So having been a scientist, trying to think actually, the science is everything, to actually now saying, okay, science is just a window on what God's done with the universe. And I still struggle with that, right? Because oh my goodness, this is just, faith. What, really? Is that really what's happening? But again, I think therein is something, I hope, of reality. If it wouldn't be called faith if it was easy. Yes. And there's that part of that is the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And particularly when, in leadership, when things are not going so well.
I remember early on in my ministry, sounds a stupid word, but anyway.
Can I pick you up on that?
Okay. You're not going to tell me off here.
Well, what makes it stupid?
I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, all right. More is because you feel the weight of possibly what that might mean.
Maybe. Maybe it's my inadequacies and my insecurity.
But the sense of inadequacy, not that you are inadequate. Can you tell what I'm doing?
Stop coaching me. We're on Shed TV. Don't stop it.
I'm being your supporter. Go on. Go on.
About being told not to be vulnerable in the pulpit.
Yes.
And it doesn't work if I'm not vulnerable.
Yes.
Because all I have is my story. and the brokenness of his story. You
Yes.
know? Not that you have to share warts and all, but you know, I think that one of the things that's derailing faith and the church is that the social media polished, you know, everybody's running at 100 mile an hour. Leaders are getting burnt out because they're not achieving this and not achieving that. Where someone needs to stand up in the pulpit and say, life's hard.
Yes.
This is hard, but thank you, I have a faith outside of all of this. God who's beyond time, for some reason, is making this thing work, you know?
Yes. No, I think that 100% in terms of that running at 100 miles an hour, I've got to be seen to be successful. Anything that's not going so well, that must mean that I'm at fault, or I'm not listening from God, or the prayers haven't been answered, all that kind of stuff. I really, and I think that's really sad, because it is an echo of exactly as you said about, you know, Facebook or Instagram or any other social media that is an edited view snapshot into somebody's life. And I guess what you're saying, what you challenged me here actually is thinking, you know, we've got to be more real.
Yes.
If we're going to be of any use to ourselves, any use individually, or as a church, or or in the community, or as a family, you've got to be more real. And that vulnerability is, we spoke about it last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know,
well, we live in a society. I look at my 16-year-old son, who everybody's been like, you're real. So if the reality for you is you're a bloke but wants to be a woman, be real about it. Do you see what I mean?
Thank you.
If you want to run around that's the society we live in, and then the church that's getting left behind is trying to be this prim and proper church in the middle of it all. But we mean to say we're as messed up as the rest.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Because we're just we're people.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. That is so.
My life is, from a physical point of view, is going through exactly the same challenges that you're going through. But the difference is, the thing that makes my life different is my faith.
Yeah, and again, what's that about faith is the optimism of something, of a promise yet to be fulfilled.
Yes.
And I like that, because I do struggle with my faith, if I'm honest. Sometimes, you know, I think that's really. I'm seeing stuff that, you know, that's happening in the world. You know, certainly with some clients, you think, why is it? And we've had friends in the same church, right? You know, the loveliest, most spirit-filled people, and yet they seem to go through the worst things, you know, losing children, having them die, and you just think, you know, that doesn't seem fair. And I'm not quite Job and sort of ranting at God, but you do think, really? And it's only after, I think there's something about this redeeming thing, again, that means that, again, we can be more useful.
Yes.
And part of that useful isn't about so that we feel better.
It's,
although we do if we're fulfilling our purpose.
Yeah.
And it's about helping other people. But absolutely, I think that ability to be more who you are, and release to do that and connect the dots to make that happen. That's why I do what I do. I get such a kick out of it.
Yeah.
And you know that I love doing it.
And there's a generation coming up now of young people that don't want the glitz and the glamour. They just want genuine.
Yes.
They want truth. They want to know you've been through something.
Yes.
They also want to know when you say, I haven't been through that. So I can't. So I'll be here for you, but I don't understand.
Do you know, so thank you for mentioning that, because when I've worked in charities, I've worked in a couple of charities, working in schools and going in and literally been parachuted in to do confidence workshops. And I think, and I have said to children that I've been working with, you know, and young adults, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
Because I'm, you know, middle-aged, white and straight. And, you know, actually, but what I am prepared to do is, well, two things. One is listen.
Yes.
And two, I want to learn something from you.
Yeah.
And therefore you've got value. There's a lovely quote, again, another one, I think it was a Simon Sinek quote about, it was a lady he was talking to, and he was talking about actually listening. If you don't listen to somebody and their story, it's almost like you're saying that they don't exist.
Yeah.
And I think maybe actually you're making me think about, you know, part of our role is not necessarily just always telling the world.
Yeah.
It's about listening to the world.
Well, so I coach rugby. I coach Newport schools, under 11. Don't ask about this season. The best result was a draw, but anyway, it went downhill from there. But one of the guys I coached with, his son was found died of sepsis at university.
Wow.
And we went on a walk, and I remember walking with him and thinking, I don't have any point of reference for this, and just saying to him, let's just walk, and him like, thank you, you know. And I was with a guy the other day that had gone through a similar thing, and I was like, I don't have a point of reference, but all I do is I will walk with you.
Yes.
You know, and I think that creeps over definitely into the church and I've been guilty of it. You know, let's fix the problem, let's sort it out, and it's like, well, no, let me just walk with you.
And some things aren't fixable.
No, let me just be with you. You know,
absolutely. I mean, we've had bereavements in our families, and they're not fixable.
No,
not on this side of eternity.
No.
And that's hard, and we have to live with that.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, yeah, and those things bring weight to our story.
Yeah, I see. And again, certainly in my case, it's that ability. I don't know what that's like, but I do know what certain pains are like.
Yeah.
And I do think there's some, you and I both, as I said before, when I was in Shed TV before, or in the Shed, was, about that being just available to each other and not having necessarily the answer, and that slowing down almost of a pace.
Yes.
And part of my coaching, or part of the reason I love coaching, again, is because that allows the person to begin to own their own story again.
Yeah.
And rather than seeing failure as something that is to be ashamed of, it's actually part of.
Yeah. Well, what is failure?
Process.
What is?
Well, quite.
Failure is what half the time what other people think it is, or what you think it should be.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's a mismatch of. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I've often beaten myself around the head with failure because I'm not thinking what I should achieve, and then you've encouraged me, and other people in my world has encouraged me, like, just step back and think where you were 6 months ago. Where were you a year ago? And
that is because you are a particularly action. I mean, you're the action guy.
Yeah.
And you said last time, as an A&E nurse, it's great if everything could shift when there's body parts going everywhere. As an A&E, I'm just saying A&E nurse, not in any other capacity. So and that is a temptation we try and fix. And I think the other part of that is that maybe what you're saying as well is that the danger is that we try and be trite. That we've got the answer, and therefore that's the fix. And I think that's part of the other part of the problem with church as well, and any sort of faith outreach aspect is that we're all very keen on sort of sharing that truth and getting a conversion. But what next? And for me, it's more about, well, I want to love somebody irrespective of whether they take the gospel up or not, because that is not my responsibility.
I think we should take them when we measure health, right, within church, I'm going to be controversial here. I think we should take the number of salvations off the record, right? Because if you constantly aim for getting hands to be lifted up, you don't make disciples, you don't make community, you don't make a place where people can be loved and be transformed. So if you make a place that has community, if you make a place where you help leaders become great leaders and whole people, and you will get people saved.
And absolutely. And I think there's something here about the love. I think one of the things that when working with businesses at the moment, and thanks to, again, people like Simon Sinek mentioning, who's like one of my sort of heroes, in terms of business and development and leadership, is talking about love and rehumanizing the workplace. And I think there's something here, actually today has really helped me in the Shed, talking with you again. It's about rehumanizing our church.
Yeah.
And what is church? And again, that's another, I know, because I said that last time, I think, about, there's a whole nother series on that. But there's that thing about, we love the world, we're called into the world to love the world, to be effective for the world. But again, it's not, I like to think, and you're the same, and we've talked about this before, I know, actually surfing in Pembrokeshire, I remember when we had this in St David's actually, and about talking about actually, again, that's it, again, irrespective of what that person might think of me, or whether they feel that they have to, they have a faith like me. That's not the point. And that's attractive, right?
I had this thought. I don't know if I told you, but church needs to be like a good ginger beer plant.
I know you started to mention this a while back. Come on, tell me about it.
Like, I don't know, if those of a certain age will remember ginger beer plants that you put on your thing and you just fed
it.
Yeah, so many ginger, and this thing just grew, didn't it?
Yeah, we didn't have Xboxes back in the day.
No, we didn't. No, Sega PlayStations, but I was about 14 when they came out.
You were well posh.
We borrowed one.
Okay.
But, church and leadership needs to be, if we see it like a great ginger beer plan, that we, as a leader, you're not here to do everything. As a leader, you're here to make sure it's got enough sugar and enough ginger every day. It will just grow, and it just organically grow.
I love that.
I
love that. And as you're talking, it reminds me of Rob Bell, Velvet Elvis. I think you read the book. And there's this bit about who wouldn't want to invite somebody to a place where you could have ginger beer. But for him, he says that we make, in that book, if I remember rightly, he talks about building walls. The problem is that we've built walls. And we know the church isn't about the walls. It isn't, it's about the people. And that's what I think it should be. And then he says, well, okay, rather than the walls, what happens if we were inviting people to trampolines? And that whole idea, when people jump on trampolines, it's fun, right? Yeah. And that whole kind of, because you're even smiling thinking about a trampoline. And there's something about that when you're talking about a ginger beer, I suppose the attractiveness of us finding purpose and through that with our faith is that's attractive by itself. But it shouldn't be then about us then judging other people or not accepting, or even learning from other people who have a different faith, for instance, or no faith. Yeah. And I certainly have a lot. I learn so much from people when talking about their own faith. Whatever their faith might be.
Because you work mainly outside of the church, don't you?
Yeah, and I love doing that.
Yeah, and I find that refreshing when you talk about concepts that some of the big companies you work with. Yeah. I'm like, they're ahead of the church. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that way. But
no, absolutely. And again, I think that's because of dealing with people, and we're talking about models. One of my favourite quotes is a George Box quote, which all models are fallible, some are useful. Yeah. And but it is so. I think my science background has lent me to like the idea and try to understand how the brain works and the psychology of that, and my brain works and how do our brains work together, and then how do our brains all work together. There's a science part to that, and actually, businesses are ahead on that, totally. And that's that rehumanizing the church, right?
We were talking just before we started filming, weren't we, about this kind of like, this is how you should do church because it's successful, and we'll put it there, and we'll put it there, and we'll put it there, and it will just work because it's worked. Where I think like what business is doing and what the church needs to do is create spaces where leaders can be people, people can be healthy, people are fed, they're valued, they're given boxes to work and be creative within.
Yes.
But to take the vision that they have for their valley, for their city.
Thank you. So it's that refreshing. It's that kind of giving out and saying, I don't know what that is for you, but we'll support you and helping you think what that might be, and then that being the springboard or the trampoline to something else. And it's not about me. No, it's about you, or rather, it's about us. Yeah. That tingles because that's where we've got so fractionated with different doctrines, and I'm not dismissing the importance of some of that for people, but I do think we've done that to the point of losing the heart of what we're about, which is what I love about you.
I think
one of the many things.
I think if I reflect on my 47 years on this planet and my experiences of church, we went from the wacky conga, like waving flags kind of church, Holy Spirit's moving, free, was great, then we went to the kind of all wear a suit, all kind of quite polished, to the kind of very high produced, very slick kind of church, and we've COVID kind of put an end to that. I think now we're at a point in church where we just need to make good ginger beer plants.
I do know
whatever flavour that one needs to be.
And then say, well, do you want to make your own ginger beer? Yeah. Or do you want to make something else? Yeah. And what would it look like?
Do you want to make lemonade?
Look like? And exactly. And let's do it again. And that's part of, again, the creator God. I think that, Yeah. There's who's Tony Campolo, let's do it again. Do it again. Right? Yeah. I love that. And again, I think there's something that's really powerfully exciting about, again, that being a gift to the world.
Yes.
So again, the important part is I don't have to make you like me. You can still have a different, fundamentally different belief, but I still love you and value you for the things that you can teach me about the way in which you work and are. And I think is that open arms.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that some people really struggle with that and would be very anti what I've said.
Well, because you're going against people's securities.
I don't value. I've really tried really, really hard to not value somebody any more or less depending on what they think and feel and believe. I'd rather learn from that person.
Yes.
And I'd rather journey with that person.
Yeah.
Which is what we're saying about journeying with, right?
Yes.
That for whatever ends.
Yeah.
And I know I've got my purpose, and that's part of wrapped up with my. That's it. And again, I so much. That's why I'm very people powered, as you know. That's why I couldn't stay in a lab looking at cells under a microscope for the whole of my life. That's why I've come out to look at how us big cells work together as selves.
Yeah. Well, it's been great.
It's gone already. The time.
I know.
Shoots past.
We're good at talking, aren't we?
Would you have me back?
Yes, I will have you
that's
back.
right
Yes, definitely. And I think we should do Shed TV live one day soon.
Shed TV live?
Yes.
So we take the TV, go on road trip?
We could.
Oh my goodness.
World tour.
World tour. Now you're talking. Surfing tour.
California, we're coming. Hawaii. Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in again. You know, like I've said, if we've said anything that's challenged you, or you just want to unpack, or I don't know, I really feel if you're feeling isolated, if there's stuff going on in your world and you don't think anybody else understands, you know, I'm here, I know Iain's here, and I know there's a lot of people here on the T channel that would love to unpack that with you and talk that through. So don't be isolated. Let's live in community. Let's go and make some ginger beer.
Ginger beer and trampolines.
And
surfing.
And surfing, yes. Anyway, thanks for watching and tune in soon.
Well, this is my shed, it lives by a hedge in my tiny little yard. Swear you'll hear us harping on, so come join us for a chat in my shed.